In 1543, Nicholas Copernicus published a revolutionary idea that the Earth revolved around the sun. But it took 200 years for the Copernican model to be accepted. To confirm the theory, the work of many other scientists was needed. Tycho Brahe, Galileo Galilei, Giordano Bruno, and Isaac Newton. For such a well-established belief to fall, there had to be loads of solid evidence, especially when this theory implied that the church, the authority of the day, was wrong. Do you have any well-established beliefs like this? Have you ever noticed that some stuff is written on your mind like it is written on rock? You do the work on these beliefs, but it keeps bouncing back. What's going on? Why do some thoughts resist questioning so much? Not because they aren't painful. Some beliefs are very painful, but they still persist in the face of inquiry. You think pain would be enough to let go of something, but no. And it's not because these beliefs are rock-solid theory of life either. There are some pretty shoddy ideas that still resist questioning. So why do our core beliefs resist questioning? Our core beliefs persist for two main reasons. One, because we're not really open to questioning them. And two, because we don't do enough research to actually prove them wrong. This is exactly what happened to the Copernican model of the universe. The church was not going to open to opposing theories. It was closed. It wanted to maintain control. And it took centuries to gather enough evidence to prove that the church was wrong. So both things were needed, an openness and enough research, and probably both. And the same thing can happen to us when we're doing the work. We may think we're open when we're actually not. Have you ever sat down to do the work and found that you just can't think into it? You might answer the questions with a wave of the hand, or you might simply be unable to find genuine examples of the turnarounds. In these cases, it may seem that the work doesn't work for us. We're just as stuck after doing the work as before. It could be that we were not really open to answering the questions. We may have answered them somewhat, but our mind was not willing to look for real evidence. This lack of openness keeps us from finding the truth. And sometimes even real evidence is presented to us in these turnarounds and examples, but because of that closed feeling, that feeling of closedness, we don't take them in. And so they don't actually register, they don't actually do anything for us. So this lack of evidence, lack of openness can keep us from finding the truth, and it can keep us from another thing. It keeps us from doing enough research to prove the point. For the Copernican theory to be accepted, it took 200 years of research to come up with enough solid evidence in the support of the faith, to support it in the face of the church's opposition. When we do the work, we give up too soon in the face of our own internal opposition. This is especially true when looking for examples of the turnarounds. And when we give up too soon, we go back to the old paradigm. Until the new theory is proven, the old one still stands. That's why we keep on believing the same thing, even after doing the work. But if you're serious about the work, you'll keep looking for examples. Let's say you're working on a core belief that I have to be successful. The turnaround is, I don't have to be successful. This may sound nice at first, kind of like a dream. Oh, I don't have to be successful. Great, how nice. And you may find some examples of how you would be okay, even if you weren't successful, but you don't really believe. And when you're done with the work, you can feel how you still believe the thought, I have to be successful. It's still sitting there. So what to do? The work didn't seem to work the first time. Should I do it again? And how long should I keep working on a stressful belief that is so firmly embedded in my mind? The answer is, it depends. It depends on how interested in finding out the truth you really are. Maybe you're just not that open right now. Who knows? You maybe are more open at some other time. And I find this to be really important, that I don't push myself. I'm not really that interested. I'm still not really willing to go there. Why force inquiry? Inquiry is something that has to happen in an open space. And if I'm kind of not there, then maybe it's better just to wait until I'm more open to doing the work, and then we'll see what I find then. But if you are open to continuing the inquiry, then here are 3 suggestions that can help when you're dealing with a core belief that seems like it's etched in stone. 1, focus on specifics. 2, come at it from different angles. And 3, test it in real life. Let's look at each of these one by one. First, keep inquiry focused on specifics. Galileo didn't try to prove the Copernican model in general. He focused on the phases of Venus. That's a very specific piece of physics or the astronomy. And he focused there. So sounds strange. But looking from there, he soon found solid evidence to support the theory that was a more general theory about the sun moving around, the Earth moving around the sun. When you start to do the work on the concept, I have to be successful, your mind may have trouble getting a handle on the concept. It's so general. What does success look like? What does that mean? Success at what? And the lack of specifics is a handicap. But if you think of a specific time when this thought came up for you, or you wait for the next time that this thought pops up, then you have a specific situation to deal with. And specifics are always easier for the mind to handle. For example, maybe the thought, I have to be successful, came to you the last time you visited the house of a friend who was successful. The specifics of that situation will give you a plethora of concrete examples as you do the work. Maybe they were talking about how much money they made or how many clients they have or whatever. Maybe you saw the car your friend was driving or anything like that. So doing the work on a specific situation can be really helpful. You're much more likely to find something convincing when you do the work, when you know exactly what you mean by success. Do I really want to be just like that friend? Or is there something else that is as important to me? That's what this inquiry starts to bring up. And this brings us to the second thing that can help you question a core belief. Come at your core belief from different angles. If you're getting nowhere doing the work on your belief, I have to be successful, then keep an eye out for as many real life examples or situations of this as you can. Maybe last week, the thought came up, I have to be successful when I was playing cards with a friend. Another time, I had the thought when I was choosing a major in college. And just today, the thought pops up that when somebody criticized. So all these are real life examples of how this belief, I have to be successful, is operating in real time. By doing the work on the thought in each of these real life situations, more and more pieces of the puzzle will come together. For deep beliefs, you may end up doing the work on them dozens of times using dozens of different situations as reference points. Over time, the belief will weaken as the evidence continues to pour in from all sides. And this brings us to the third thing that can help with stressful core beliefs. Test your turnarounds in real life. Do what the scientists have always done. Test it. It's one thing to see intellectually that I don't have to be successful. This is a turnaround. But it does not become a living turnaround until you try it out in real life. You might test it one day like this. You're playing cards with your friends, and instead of trying to win, you back off of it and see how it goes. This is a living turnaround. You're testing the idea that I don't have to be successful. This is practicing what you preach. Asking the question, does the real world uphold the turnaround or not? If you test it, you'll find out. And as you keep testing, more and more evidence will keep pouring in. Evidence that eventually will turn the tide. So in summary, some core beliefs persist even after doing a session of the work on them because we're not really open to questioning those beliefs. And we don't persist in finding enough evidence to prove them wrong. These beliefs are deeper. They're more dear to us. We hold them tighter, and they need special treatment. If you're open to doing the work on your most precious beliefs, here are 3 things to help. Focus on specifics, come at it from different angles, and test it out in real life. This is what the scientists did to prove the Earth revolves around the sun. They focused on specifics, They came at it from different angles and they tested it. The result of their effort has changed the way we view the world. The same thing happens when you do the work. If you put these 3 points to practice, you will eventually uncover the truth, not just intellectually, but in the core of your being.